Hello, and thanks for joining us today. My name is Matt Dykstra. I'm the CEO and founding partner of Trade Digital. We are a marketing company dedicated to turning businesses and organizations into brands. Today we're going to be covering a topic very important for anyone who is attending an event. It's the second in our series. It's posting and tweeting at events, what to do, what not to do. Now we have just under 30 minutes to get this completed and a lot of material to cover, so let's go ahead and get cracking. Now, the first question you have, if you're already attending events, if you're going to a trade show, consumer show, expo, conference, whatever it may be, you already have a lot on your plate. You have to be asking yourself, why do you want to add more to it? Well, if we take a look at events, for the most part, event marketing really has not changed much over a decade. So why change now? Well, there's a combination of factors that make it very important to take a look at adding a digital side to your already cluttered schedule. First, increased competition, particularly in the way the economy is right now. Let's face it, it's not stellar. Your competition is hungry, and they're increasing out there. Two, even though the economy is going sour, marketing dollars are not increasing. They're actually decreasing. So with the increased competition, you have less money to spend to try to get that consumer or that business to make a purchase from you. Three, the dwindling power of traditional media. Over the past decade, we've seen what used to be very strong media sources really give up a lot of power, and they can't seem to get it back, whether we're talking about TV, radio, or especially newspaper. The ability for them to bring in people to your event, to your booth, is not what it used to be. And then we have the advent of the connected consumer, both on the B2C side, business to consumer side business, as well as the B2B, business to business side. Consumers now know all they need to do is go online and can do all the research they want to do about a product, about a service. They can find out whether it has great reviews. They can find out how much it costs, what deals to ask for, whether there's a better deal out there with somebody else. They can do all that research online, and they can actually do it sitting right in front of your booth or not even leaving the chair of their living room. Businesses, in turn, have also learned this. So while the connected consumer used to only be a threat, if you want to call it a threat, and also can be an opportunity, but used to only be an issue for B2C, is now also increasingly becoming something for B2B to keep in mind. So that once straight and narrow road has a lot of curves to it. So what can you do? Well, let's take a look at the 30,000-foot view. There's 3 stages to an event. There's pre-show. During the pre-show, you can introduce yourself to new audiences. You can let your own audience know who you are and that you're going to the show. Stage 2, during the show, invite everyone to join you. Provide enticing content. Expand your reach by interacting with other people's audiences. And stage 3, post-show. Build on your achievements. If you have put together a fantastic lead generation list, or even a bad one, take advantage of that list. Contact people on it. Don't just let it disappear. What's the point of doing it if you didn't take advantage of it? So, we've looked at the overview. Let's take a look at some of the steps you need to do this. First off, you need to establish a digital presence. If you don't already have a Twitter handle, a Facebook page, Google+, Pinterest, YouTube, get them. You may not use all of them on a consistent basis, but you're going to want to make sure you grab hold of that digital turf before your competition does. If there's a chance of getting a vanity URL on Facebook, you want that vanity URL. What is a vanity URL? Quickly, if you go on to facebook.com/TradeDigital, that's a vanity URL. It's a different address other than the standard Facebook address of facebook.com/blah, blah, blah, which that may be numbers, maybe letters, whatever it may be, but it doesn't have your business name. After you get, depending on Facebook's rules, because these do tend to change, between 20 and 30, 35, in some cases, followers, you can get that vanity URL. So you can get your name of your business right there into your actual URL. Make sure you get that Twitter handle. We have @TradeDigital. We also have @ChatWMatt, because that used to be the name of my blog. So get that Twitter handle that works with your business, whether it be following your business name or following something related to your business. Go on to Google+. Sign up for an account. Google+, in general, for most people, to be honest, is more valuable as a tool improving your search engine optimization because Google's bet the farm, and anything you do that you show up and we're linked to on Google+ is going to help you in your search engine rankings. But still, your business may have a growing audience there. Check it out. Pinterest, been a fantastic lead generator over the past couple years here. Make sure you're using it. And of course, YouTube. Video is very important, and YouTube is not only good for search engine, not only good for people just searching through YouTube to find your stuff, but also it's a good place to host any of your videos so that on your web page, your Facebook page, whatever it may be, you can link that in and embed that video into whatever it is you're trying to show it on. So establish a digital presence. Now, one word of caution here, don't overdo it. No matter how big your business is, when you first start, claim the territory, but only focus on 1, 2, maybe 3 different platforms for as your actual works. And if you're just starting right now and you're trying to get set up for your event, definitely only focus on 1 or 2. Simply do not have the bandwidth to do a whole bunch of them. And as you'll find very quickly, it's not that hard to use these platforms, but it can become very tempting to start just copying from one to the other. And while there are circumstances where that's okay, you don't want to get in the habit of doing that in most cases. And if you have too many channels, that's exactly what's going to happen. And that actually can hurt you more than it helps. Okay. Second thing, research the show and connect with their social media campaign well before the show. So if I'm going to the Washington State Sportsman show, I want to find out, do they have an event hashtag? What's a hashtag? Hashtag real quick, when Twitter first started, in order to make things easy to search, they said any word you want to be able to search by, you need to put a pound symbol in front of it. Now, that is no longer the case. Now you can search by any word whatsoever, but people continue to use hashtags because it makes things stand out. And it, let's face it, it does make things easier to find. So if I am going to go to the Washington Sportsman show, I want to find out what is their hashtag for the event. If they don't have one, I want to suggest one to them and start promoting it myself. That way, whenever I send out a tweet, I have that hashtag on there, and people can find me. They know what to look for. If they enter in, say, for instance, let's say, and I'm not saying this is, but let's say their hashtag was sportsman, well then I know on anything I write related to the event, whether it be talking about setting up or something neat I saw, whatever it may be, I'll put in somewhere in that tweet, hashtag sportsman. Find out what their Twitter handle is. Most likely, the event is already going to be tweeting about stuff going on. Find out what that Twitter handle is. Start following it yourself. Pay attention to what they put up there. And whenever you can, respond to something. Now, their Twitter handle may be something like, in this case, we'll use Sportsman again. So it might be @Sportsman. So whenever I retweet something, repost something of theirs, I am going to go ahead and use that Twitter handle in there so people can also find me because of that. And it exposes me to all their fans. Find out what their Facebook page is. Go on there, like their content, comment on their content, share their content. Remember, in all these cases, what our number one goal here is to build relationships with those that we're interacting with and to get exposed to their followers and their fans. Anything we can do to do that, to get that exposure, we want to do, as long as, of course, it's something that makes sense to do. And then check out, do they have a Google Plus page? Are they on other platforms? Most cases for events, I think probably Twitter and Facebook are your primary means of communicating with people, but do check the other avenues. Maybe it just happens to be whatever the focus is of this event does very, very well in Google Plus or some other niche platform out there. So make sure you check that out. Also find out, do they have online events? Are they running Twitter chats? Are they running Facebook parties? Do they have something else going on? Find out what they have going on out there and see if you can get involved in it. What is a Twitter chat? Simply put, a Twitter chat's like an old-fashioned town hall, only it's run on Twitter. You generally have a host. You generally have some sort of guest speaker, and you have everyone else who's joining in to ask questions. If you can't be that guest speaker, if you can't be that host, ask questions. Get involved in it. Don't blatantly advertise yourself through it, but do make sure you're getting yourself involved, get a little bit more exposure, and use whatever hashtags they want you to use. And whenever you reply to someone, make sure you use their handle. Now, let's take a look at some of the do's and don'ts. Prior to the event, you definitely want to let your audience know that you're going. You don't want to ignore your editorial calendar. In other words, your schedule of things that you should be tweeting and posting throughout the month. But you do want to talk about the event even before the event starts. You want to start using those hashtags. Start retweeting some of that information or commenting or sharing postings on Facebook from the event itself. Make sure you find ways to get your audience to feel like they're a part of your getting ready for the show. Show preparation. Now, don't assume every detail is interesting. Quite frankly, I don't want to see 36 pictures of you hammering a stud into another stud with a nail because you're building your booth. But I wouldn't mind seeing a picture showing me, we've just put this together. How does it look? Or here's some of the great products we're going to be showing, although be careful now not to sound too commercially. Or anything like those, things that make me feel like I'm important enough to be involved in the process. Use photos, videos in your post tweets. We have seen this whether you're talking about an event or not. It increases your engagement rate by tenfold. So make sure that you are putting out those pictures, those videos, and include them in your tweets and your postings. Now, don't just assume, oh, it's a picture, so therefore it's going to increase my engagement by tenfold. No, it needs to be something quality, something that people want to see. So do include them, but make sure you use quality materials. Encourage responses from your followers. Don't forget they're out there. Make sure you're talking to them. And also, when they respond, make sure you respond back to them. So find ways to get that engagement going even before the show begins. And of course, like we already mentioned this, retweet, comment, share, and otherwise engage with the event's social media and those people who are already participating with it. Don't become so informal in your comments and tweets that you're going to be embarrassed on the business side. Loosen up a little bit, but don't become too informal. But do make sure that you are engaged there. You want to expose yourself, and I don't know how many times I'm going to say this, but you want to expose yourself to as many people as possible, as many businesses as possible. So you want to get in there and do that retweeting, do that commenting, do that sharing. Talk with people out there. How about during the event? Well, during the event, there's also a number of things you should and should not do. You should find ways to bring up a guest speaker. If there's somebody who's giving a guest speech at a conference or for your show, interview them if you can. If there is somebody who's a bigwig in the industry, get a hold of them. Say, hey, can I do an interview with you? It doesn't matter how small or large a company is. People love to see these interviews. Interview them. Record it. Allow them to share it. But make sure when you do, your company logo is there somewhere so you get more exposure. That said, make sure that when you're doing your interviews, you don't focus on the hard sell. Instead, be informative, be entertaining, provide information that people want to see. They don't want just another advertisement of your business. They want to see information that's useful to them. They want to be entertained. So make sure that your interviews follow that path. Find creative challenges you can do over social media. There's a gentleman, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he did the traditional, guess how many jelly beans are in this jar. Well, we see that all the time at shows, right? Well, he took a different twist. He said make sure you had to guess it online. He was using Twitter, he was using Facebook, he was using his webpage. He was asking people to sign in and leave their information. So he was building a list online. And he had a little laptop sitting there at his booth so people could do it that way as well. And people were guessing the number of jelly beans. What was the prize? I don't remember. Nothing really big, but it forced people to give him their information and to be aware of that he was online, not just those people at the convention, but also those people who are online looking for information about the event would spot it and see, hey, his business is online. So it was very good promotional, I thought, for very little cost. Now, that said, no matter what you do, if you run a contest, double check what the rules are with the platform you're trying to run it on. Facebook can be very sticky when it comes to contest rules. So whatever you do, make sure you're following the rules so you don't end up actually hurting yourself. And looking down our to-do list here again, I'm going to mention this in all three phases. Make sure you're using photos and videos. Make sure, though, that the quality, and if you do take a picture of anyone, make sure you have permission to post that. A lot of times it doesn't really matter. To be perfectly frank, people aren't going to sue you for it. But do you really want to end up in that one time when it does? So if you're going to post something, try to make sure you get people's permission to do so, even though you may be in a public place. Also, make sure you invite your fans and your followers to join you at your booth. Not only let them know you're attending, but say, hey, come on down. And if you let me know that you saw me on Twitter, I'll give you, a free jelly bean, whatever it may be. Invite people to join you. Don't break the 90-10 rule, which is 90% good content, entertaining, informational, 10% self-promotion. Don't break that rule, but do invite people to come down and join you at the booth. Encourage them to come. The more you do that, the more likely you are to see these people, and the more likely they are to use in social media to promote your message. So, invite people. Also during the event, don't forget that editorial calendar we mentioned, your schedule of what you should be talking about. You want to talk about the event, but don't let it overshadow everything else. Still put out that information that you normally put out. You might reduce it by a few tweets or a few postings, but still make sure you're putting it out. Because remember, not everyone is going to be excited about the event. No matter how great of an event it may be, there are still going to be people who are actually only listening to you for your normal material. So make sure you put that in there. And also the people who are listening to you about the event might gain some more insights about you that are going to help them decide to keep following you, to keep being fans, if they see some of this normal material you're putting out there. As far as automation goes, we always get the question, should I just go ahead and automate everything for the show? Can I take all my pictures and then that night schedule them out for the next day? You can do that, but we recommend as much as possible not when it relates to the event itself. And here's why. Think of it this way. Let's say you're going to a rock concert and you already know what order the songs are going to be in. You know which bands are playing. You have some pictures from the last time you went. You have everything you need that you could go ahead and theoretically just schedule it all out. You can use TweetDeck or you can use Hootsuite. You can maybe straight through Facebook itself and go ahead and schedule everything out, and then you can just sit back and enjoy the concert or stand up, whatever you're going to do, and never have to worry about what people would think you're tweeting or posting throughout it. Well, if everything goes great, hey, no problem. But what happens if, say, I don't know, the band that you really wanted to see shows up late, but you've already scheduled it and said, hey, they're playing my favorite song, I love this, but they're not there. Or what if the concert gets canceled, gets rained out? Or something else happens that's big news and you never mention it? Anything can possibly happen, from a small, tiny little detail to an enormous detail. And that can show your followers, your fans, that you're not live. Now, fans and followers can be very forgiving. But if they're just getting to know you especially, they're not necessarily going to have much from which that they can draw on to forgive you for that little faux pas. And it will be obvious. So when you're at an event, it's much better to, if you want to create any sort of automation, automate those items that are non-event related, nothing wrong with that, and then have somebody else help you get those tweets and those posts out there. Whether it be someone else there in the booth with you, someone in a hotel, or someone back home. Wherever they are, have them help you out if you don't have time to do it yourself. Try to get in a few yourself, but if you don't have time, have them help you out, and make sure if they're posting something that they double check to make sure nothing happened that's going to go against that. So if they're saying, hey, Lee Iacocca is visiting us today, come on down to the booth and see him at 2, and then at 2 o'clock he doesn't show up, and you're tweeting, hey, it's been great talking to him. Don't tweet that yet. Don't tweet that yet. Hold off. Make sure that they're in contact with you so they know anything major especially to hold off on. Now, people also ask, how formal should I be? Well, depends on the nature of the event, but you can loosen up and be a little less formal. That's going to, if you show your human side, it's going to draw more attention and people are going to want to see it. Don't become too informal. There is a thin line between fun and unprofessional. And I shouldn't have to say this, but unfortunately we see this happen all the time, and we see issues pop up because of this all the time. If you are drinking, do not tweet. If you are drinking, do not post. Anytime there's alcohol involved, just stay away from that keyboard. It's just better to be safe than sorry. Just trust us on that. And then, of course, make sure that you are looking for other people who are also talking about the event and engage with them. Retweet their content, comment, share, whatever. Show these people that you're interested in what they're putting out there and encourage them to do the same for your content, because every time you do that, you're exposing yourself to their audience and vice versa. And the more audience you guys get out there, the better chance you have of a message resonating with somebody who turns into a client, a long-term relationship, an advocate, etc. So make sure you're doing that. How do you get that engagement? Ask questions, run contests, and most importantly, respond. If somebody tweets something to you, respond to it. Now, after the event, are you done? Do you need to do anything? Well, yes, you do. Here's some of the do's and don'ts for that. Be humble. Make sure you thank the show for having you. Make sure you thank people for dropping by. A little bit of humbleness can go a long way. Don't forget to be humble. People like it. Also, you can still note, even though the show is over, note any top items you haven't had a chance to talk about yet. If there's something that was really, really interesting, but you just couldn't fit in your schedule, a couple days later is okay. As long as you make sure people understand, hey, this happened then. I'm not at the show now. You don't necessarily need to tweet exactly like that or post it just like that, but say, hey, while we're at the show, we saw this. Or 2 days ago, we saw this. You know, make sure you're not giving a false impression the show's still going on, because once again, if people see that, they're going to think you're automating it, and they're going to think you're just a robot, and that's not going to help you there. So be clear that it's not happening right now, but it's okay. 2, 3, a week, we might be pushing it, but 2, 3 days after the show, after the event, you can still post stuff from it, but be clear. Along with that, if you have more photos that are high quality, don't let your quality drop, you can post those as well. Now I'm going to emphasize, don't let the quality drop. I know you're tired. I know it's been a long event, but make sure whatever you put out there is high quality. People don't want to see a bunch of low quality photos that they really don't care about. And continue to engage with new contacts. You've worked hard to build these contacts. Make sure you're engaging with them. Because remember, your number one priority is after the show, you want to follow up with leads, you want to build those relationships, you want to create those advocates, and you want to get those customers. And if you're not following up on those leads, if you're not engaging with this new network of people you found, what was the point of doing it in the first place? So make sure you continue that engagement. Make sure you continue that conversation. Build it. And I don't mean simply for a week or a month. Keep building, keep nurturing it throughout the year. And then when you're going to another event, invite people to join you at that event. Find ways to get them to want to actually engage with you, both online and in person. There's a couple other things to think about before we wrap up here. Regardless of whether you're going to an event or not, but especially if you're going to an event, think about your messaging strategy. Now, we cover some of this in our boot camp, but there's several different strategies out there. Find a strategy that makes sense for your business, makes sense for your event. Cross out the others, but find the one that works for you and then follow it. Don't let an event change your strategy immediately. Make sure your event works with the strategy you have, or tweak your strategy slightly, but don't change it completely, because people don't want to see you doing A, and then tomorrow do B, and then jump back to A just because the event's over, whatever A and B are. They want consistency. So incorporate your strategy into your event. If you don't have a strategy for messaging, create one and then continue with it after the event as well. But find that strategy. If you need to, hire some people who can work with strategy, whether that be us or somebody else. Hire someone who knows the material and can help develop that strategy for you so you have something to follow. But once again, follow a strategy. Also, remember, marketing is just a funnel. That's all it is. Think about it this way. If you have a funnel, you're trying to pour water into a bottle. If at any point in that funnel there's a hole, you're losing that water. You're losing potential audience. The funnel is what's getting people to come down to you, to your website, whatever it may be, so you can make that conversion, so you can make that sale. So you want to make sure every step along the way is strong. Don't get lazy in any of it. It's very tempting to do so, especially with an event. Make sure you're doing what you need to be doing. Make sure that funnel is strong. And then also remember, the funnel is only as good as what it's pouring into. So if I have a bottle, but the bottle has holes in it or has no bottom to it, I've lost all that water. So make sure if they're going to your website, make sure they're going to appropriate landing pages. Now, what is a landing page? Once again, we cover all this in other sessions, but essentially a landing page is the place that you're specifically creating for people who have been given a specific message, whether it's through advertising, through Facebook comments, through links in Twitter, whatever it may be. It's a landing page focused to work with the individuals who have been attracted by whatever that message is. So if I have a Facebook post out there and I'm talking about how durable my boots are, make sure when people click on that link, it goes to a page that's talking about the durability of my boots, giving more information, as opposed to just going to my homepage. Don't get me wrong, your homepage needs to be great too, but we want those landing pages, because if the message that attracted the audience is about the durability of the boot, well, then that's what they want to hear more about. So have them come to the landing page talking about it, and then get them showing the styles and the selections. But use whatever you've learned that attracts them to make that conversion, to make that sale. And then finally, we say this all the time. Anyone who listened to our sessions before knows that we are strong advocates of measuring. Make sure if you're doing something, you have a way of measuring it to know if it's the right thing for you to do. So if you are using a contest, is that contest helping you? If you are trying to create a lead generation list, are the messages you're using getting you those leads? Measure, 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 measure. Because if something isn't working, you need to know so you can stop wasting your time with it. So find ways to measure it and then evaluate afterwards. So that's our presentation for today. Hopefully this has been useful for you. I know we kind of went through things quickly. If you do have any questions, I do encourage you to follow up with us at TreDigital.com. Leave us a comment. Check out our blog. Check out our other sessions we have. You also can catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/TreDigital, or check out my daily tweet at CATWMATT, ChatWMatt. Thanks again for joining us. Hope you have a great week, and we look forward to seeing you at your next event. Bye-bye.